My friend, you are just adorable.
immediately leaks to the press that they briefed the president on the discredited information. They briefed the president on the dossier and thereby given it some credibility and creating the basis and the predicate for all they did to the president. They leaked false information, they leaked classified information, they used and leaked discredited information, and they didn't follow their own rules, all to sabotage President Trump's first term. And but for this guy, Kash Patel, but for this guy, we would never have known this information. The good people of this great country would not have known what took place 8 years ago when they were trying to undermine the guy elected by we the people. And I want to thank Attorney General Bondi. She set up a special strike force, a special team to look into this and see if there's any criminal liability that exists in what took place. Now, in addition to getting the truth to the people, Director Patel is getting the bad guys off the street. He's moved agents out of Washington, got the focus off of politics here in D.C., and is instead putting bad guys behind bars. 21,000 violent criminals have been taken off the streets, which is a 125% increase from the comparable period in the previous administration. He's rescued 4,000 kids. He's got 1,300 predators who he's arrested. He's also ended the weaponization of the FBI. No more raids on pro-life Catholics, no more retaliation against whistleblowers, and he's given us information that Chris Wray didn't. Maybe said better, he's given us information that Chris Wray wouldn't. Director Wray didn't tell us that there were 26 confidential human sources at the Capitol on January 6, 2021, even though he was repeatedly asked about that by members of this committee. Director Wray didn't tell us that there were 17 of those confidential human sources who entered restricted space. 4 went in the Capitol. None of them were arrested. They weren't authorized to do that. They broke the law. None of them were arrested. Lots of American citizens were arrested, but the guys whose whose American tax dollars was used to pay these guys who broke the law, none of them were. One was recommended for charging and was not charged. And remember when Chris Wray told us that the Richmond field office memorandum on pro-life Catholics was just a one-off? Turns out he wasn't being square with the Senate either. Director Wray wasn't square with us. He told us that multiple other offices were involved in targeting the Catholics. We got that information from Director Patel. We learned from Director Patel the FBI actually surveilled a priest, tried to get the priest to divulge information, break the priest's penitent relationship and coexist. And Director Patel is saving taxpayers money. He's not going to build a new headquarters outside of D.C. He's going to keep the headquarters right here in the capital city. Save Americans money. Save the taxpayers money. In 8 months, Director Patel has given us the facts. He's ended the weaponization at the FBI. He's taken bad guys off the streets, and he's saving taxpayers money. But my guess is the Democrats won't focus on all that good news. They'll focus on politics. They'll stick with Comey and Clapper and Brennan and continue to try to undermine President Trump. With that, I yield to the ranking member for an opening statement.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, and welcome, Director Patel. You and I have not had the opportunity to meet, and alas, you failed to respond to the 8 oversight letters I've sent you over the last 7 months. So we do have a lot of questions piling up for you, but I want to start with a word of praise. The first FBI director was J. Edgar Hoover, who steadfastly refused to hire women, African Americans, and other minorities as agents. And although he was a partnership for decades with Clyde Tolson, he also participated in anti-gay crusades. He aggressively promoted what we would today call white Christian nationalism, and he would undoubtedly be turning over in his grave to see as one of his successors a first-generation Indian American and a proud Hindu. So I congratulate you on being a breakthrough in this sense and being a beneficiary of the civil rights movement that opened up the FBI and the federal workforce to lots of people who never would have been hired in its first decades. Alas, you share J. Edgar Hoover's dangerous obsession with blind loyalty over professionalism and effective public policy. For Hoover, it was blind loyalty to him in keeping his secrets. For you, it's blind loyalty to Donald Trump in keeping his secrets. During your confirmation, it was widely noted on all sides that your primary qualification was your unwavering loyalty to Trump. Unlike other directors, you had no work experience at the FBI, but you had made over 1,000 media and political appearances in support of Trump's campaign. Your Senate confirmation vote was 51 to 49, the closest in history, with your opponents warning you were not qualified and had no interest in actually developing the qualifications for the job. I hoped that they were wrong. Alas, they were not. While most other new FBI directors drew on their experience as FBI agents, you didn't have that. But you did write a picture book trilogy for children ages 5 and up based on your experience clashing with President Trump's political enemies. In your book, you describe your literary alter ego, Cash the Knight, as a wacky, easily bored wizard carrying out King Donald's vengeance by driving his enemies out of the kingdom. In the books, King Donald is besieged by the evil Hillary Queentown, but saved in the end by Cash. Then Cash goes on to catch mules who are stealing the 2020 election for the great King Donald from Sleepy Joe. And then in the third book, Cash takes down the Dragon of the Jalapenos, nicknamed the DOJ. Your supporters had hoped that you would graduate from imagining yourself a romantic fairy tale knight to actually running America's premier federal law enforcement agency. Alas, just as we've learned how dangerous it is to put a science-denying anti-vaxxer in charge of our public health, we've learned how dangerous it is to name as director of the FBI a man who thinks of himself as a fairy tale knight who keeps a fire-breathing dragon named DOJ at home to forcibly drive villains out of the kingdom. When Charlie Kirk was assassinated while his killer was still on the loose, you decided you didn't need to be at FBI headquarters.
But I'll tell you how Hegseth just lost. It's over. And he's guaranteed he's going to jail over and over again. First of all, it's bad enough he's doing what he's doing in the Caribbean with the war crimes, right? Now, the CIA has opened up a door, a Pandora's box, to the things that he and the people under him have done in Iran. They have gone after on purpose with old data that was not confirmed, and the CIA just outed them about it, saying that you have just basically late data, old data. You are not to bomb these places because we don't know what's there now. And he went ahead anyway and killed a bunch of girls in a school in Iran. And that is his fault. It lies on him. Now, I'm going to tell you what he's going to try to do. Here's the trick. He's going to try to throw his people under the bus as much as he can. But over time, there are two people who are coming for his ass that can put him in jail. And it's much more of a bigger deal, ironically, to him than it would be to Trump, because Trump has Epstein and corruption. That's enough to get his ass in trouble. But let's talk about this with the war crimes. This is all on Hegseth. And quite frankly, Trump's going to let him fall under the weight side. He might pardon him, but even if he pardons him, there's still several ways people can get at him. Through the service members that were lost, the states can sue. Not enough people talk about the power of the states. See, this isn't America. This is not America. This is the United States of America. And that's the powerful catch on this. They can go after a lot of shit that they may get away with and get pardoned with at the federal level, but at the states level, they can come for that ass and make sure that this doesn't go bad. They can't get them maybe they could, maybe there's an edge on getting them in the war, but they can't get Hegseth necessarily on that, but they can tie it into our service members whose lives were lost. There's something else that doesn't get enough news, and the fact that CBS, of all places, put it out there. CBS put out a story about how service members, families, that they're in minor condition when they're in major condition with shrapnel and sight and limbs lost and stuff, and they're not telling them that. They're not telling their family that information. That is big, and that's enough to get him in trouble, Hegseth, because he's the head of this shit. Of course, again, he's going to try to throw military under the bus, but the reality is he's the head and he can take that hit. And understand, in a Democratic majority, that's why you're getting to the polls in November, a Democratic majority in the House and in Senate can make a whole different scenario for him on hearings and on everything else. It matters when you have a Democratic majority versus a Republican majority. Also, he could still get targeted by the Democratic president coming in 2028. These are war crimes. They can get targeted, but when you're targeted in 2028 on, there's no pardon for you, because quite frankly, there's nobody to pardon you. A Democrat ain't pardoning you. But let's say they did it early and they went after him, and you had the Democratic majority Congress chase him down, go after him, hunt him down, and hold him responsible. You're right. Trump, or if he's dead, J.D. Vance could come in and defend him and fight and pardon him. But again, the states open up a real interesting conversation about the state's rights to sue somebody on behalf of the plaintiffs and the people of that state who've lost their service members. And looking at the lower courts and the appeal court, man, they losing by 80% on the Trump side. Now, could the Supreme Court weigh in on that? But I'll be bold to say even the Supreme Court will side. Because here's the thing, Supreme Court sided with the veterans, the disabled veterans. That was the angle that our side was arguing over birthright citizenship. In other words, you mean disabled veterans can't come in and vote? If they can't come in and vote, they can't mail in their vote? So they were thinking of the veterans. But be very clear, they're going to be thinking of the veterans here too when they miscommunicate about their family members, when they miscommunicate about, or they go off of old information that was clearly communicated through the CIA. So you have a scenario where they're bombing people on old information. It turns out to be children and women and people who, they don't even know what they're doing. And then on the flip side of that is Hegseth is going to try to put the military under the bus, and he'll get a few under, but eventually the buck stops there with you. And Trump ain't about to take the hit for it. Plus, Trump's already in trouble with Epstein and corruption. So if he gets hit with any fines or any 11, not 11, this is not military because he's head of the military, the Pentagon, but if he gets hit with any fines or any potential jail time, which I think he would, it's not going to be a case where Trump pardons him and everything's okay. No, again, the states can find an angle to come after him, and they can still continue to put his name out of there to get him removed. Because the good news about getting him or anybody on the cabinet removed, who I think 70% of the cabinet's going to jail, and they're going to be snitched on by the other 30%, the biggest thing that brings him to jail, guaranteed, is the fact that Trump only has 2 deep on his roster. He doesn't have a lot of people he can get in there. And quite frankly, with a Democratic majority now going into November and being sworn out in on January 3rd, is going to make it very rough for this guy, for Trump, to get new people in, because you're going to need a Democratic majority to approve your cabinet. And it's going to be a rough move with a Democratic majority. Not to mention you're almost kicked out. I mean, Trump kicked out, impeached, and kicked out because of the corruption and the Epstein stuff. It's about to blow up. So as far as Hegseth having that protection, maybe J.D. Vance comes in and does that. Maybe he doesn't. Let's say he does. Again, the scenario pathway could still have him with the states coming after him. The World Criminal Organization, we don't pay attention to them as much because we just have this arrogance here and entitlement that there's nowhere in the world that anybody outside of America could put Americans in jail. But again, the states have rights, and if they've been affected by this war and that bombing, they could come for him. I think he's going to jail, among other things, and I think he's misappropriated funds. That alone could get you in jail. Just like the labor secretary that resigned, she's going to jail.
At the NATO summit, and he got on board the old Air Force One, not his Qatari Air Force One that he's been flying around in. Apparently, he did not like the questions he was being asked at the NATO summit about why he was not flying on the Qatari jet, and now he's flying on the old Air Force One. Also, there are major red flags right now about why he's not flying on Qatari Air Force One. Is it broken down? Is it not working? Donald Trump, I think, is insinuating that it's because of potential assassination attempts and that he's on a kill list of Iran. Let me just show you what went down as Donald Trump rushed out of the NATO summit and abruptly ended the press conference. Let's play this clip.
See you back. Thank you very much, everybody.
Here you can see Donald Trump boarding the old Air Force One, not the Qatari jet that he's been flying around in. Oh, by the way, earlier today he posted that the Qatari jet is going to remain stable. It's going to allow our troops to look at it, and he'll turn it into like an exhibit to honor our troops. You can walk into the Qatari Air Force One, and that's why he's not flying it. That makes no sense. Here he is going aboard the old Air Force One. Play this clip. Then a reporter asked him before he rushed out of this presser, so we want to address some speculation about why you're leaving not in the new Air Force One. Is it because of security concerns? Does it have to do with Iran? Does it have to do with being on kill lists in Iran? Does it have to do with the fact that it's not functioning? Watch what Donald Trump says, and he tries to avoid the I have a 5% chance of getting killed as the president. And then a reporter's like, okay, why are you not flying in the Qatari jet that you brag about? Let's play this clip.
Stephen Nelson from the New York Post. I'd like you to address speculation that you're leaving Ankara not in the new Air Force One because of security concerns involving Iran. You've spoken today twice about them possibly assassinating you and possibly being successful. Did that concern have something to do with
Well, I speak about it a lot because, you know, the life of a president is very dangerous. It's 5.2%. You know what a race car driver is? 1/10 of 1%. A bull rider, that looks pretty dangerous to me. It's 1/10 of 1%. No, it's 5.2% is you don't make it. You should have told me. You're an excellent reporter. You should have told me that years ago. Maybe I wouldn't have run. It's a very dangerous profession. No, I'm number one on the kill list for Iran. They're lovely people. I'm number one. So I don't know. I can't tell you that, but I don't really care because I'm doing my job and I'm doing it, I hope, better than anybody's ever done it because we have a country that's hot and really, really successful. But I mention it only because it's on the list. I mean, it came out. There was another list came out yesterday, and I'm number one on. I like being number one on TikTok better, but I'm number one on the list for killing. Go ahead.
Hey, Sean McCreesh, New York Times. But why aren't you flying the new plane home?
Say what?
Why aren't you flying on the new Air Force One home?
It's flying to Europe, to one of the big bases, 2 or 3 of the big bases, where we can show it to the people. And we'll be going home by normal methods. But we have it going to Europe to a couple of bases, actually one in particular, but it's going to go to a couple of bases, stop, so the soldiers can see it because it's truly magnificent. Yeah, please. Go ahead. You want to go? Okay, go ahead.
Mr. President.
Then Donald Trump says that Iran is working with the best in the United States. We've got Witkoff. We've got Kushner. We've got Rubio. We got J.D. Vance. These are great people. No, they're not. These are like the lowest character, most putrid scumbags imaginable. And then Donald Trump's like, but they, the Iranians, are cuckoo. They're cuckoo and they're scum and they're crazy. Here, play this clip.
I like that. You know, they're dealing with very fine people. They're dealing with Steve Witkoff. They're dealing with Jared Kushner and J.D. Vance. And they're dealing with Marco and Scott. They're dealing with great people. But I don't know. I think they're a little loco. They're a little crazy. But they told us they'd like to go to the funeral of a very a person who was killed a lot of people. Khomeini killed a lot of people over the years and there for a long time. Don't forget what we did should have been done 47 years ago. It could have been done any time within 40. This has gone on for, they were the bully of the Middle East.
Then Donald Trump continues to say that he's an assassination target by Iran. He goes, I'm their number one target because they're scum. Their leaders are gone, but they want to kill me because they're scum. Here, play this clip.
At some point, but all of it's gone. Everything's gone. Their leaders are gone. They had leaders, they're gone. And they had another set of leaders, they're gone. Now they have another set of leaders, they may be gone. Who knows? And you know what? I may be gone too, because I'm their number one target. It's out all over the place. I'm their number one because they're scum. That's the way they act. And that's the way they've done it for 47 years. But I'm doing what's right for the country. I'm doing really what's right for.
So a reporter asked him, okay, but last month you said you liked them. You said they're very rational people, strong people, smart people. Now you're saying they're scum, sick people. They want to kill you. What are you talking about, Donald? Here, play this clip.
Mr. President, Tyler Pager with the New York Times. Last month, you said Iranian leaders were very rational people, nice people to deal with, strong people, smart people. Today, you said they were scum, sick people, and being led by sick people. What changed, and do you think they're...
I got to know them. So I've said that about a lot. Now, when you say rational, I think they're much more rational than level 1, level 2. Level 1 is gone, level 2 is gone. This is level 3. I think they are more rational, but based on their actions over the last week or two, they're not doing a service to the people. And I think more than anything else is I got to know them. And I'm not sure I want to make a deal with them. We can play games, but I'm not sure I want to make a deal. Let's just finish the job.
Then Donald Trump just starts to rant and rave like a lunatic about communism. Once you go communist, you can't go back. Here, play this clip.
In many ways, and I've said it, and then I said, boy, that's a pretty big statement. Then I realized, a couple of people said, I think you're probably right. I think this country, with this thing that's going around, is in more danger than it was during World War I, World War II. If you talk about September 11th, if you talk about Pearl Harbor, that was big danger. I think the concept of us going communist, because one thing that happens when you go communist, you never come back, never comes back. You die in squalor. You die a horrible death. You die in squalor, and it gets very evil and very nasty. Yeah, please go ahead.
Then Donald Trump said, but I go, important announcement. He goes, I'm number one on TikTok, and all I do is talk about communism. And I'm on TikTok as number one. Does anybody know that? Here, play this clip.
Well, because they say the deal was incredible, but they think the word that gets out is bad, except the numbers just came out, and I'm number one on TikTok, and all I do is talk about communism, right? So it's sort of good. I used it to get elected, too. But, you have to get your word out. But the numbers came out just a little while ago, and I was number one, some ridiculous number. I'd never heard of numbers like that, but number one. And all these entertainers are number 27, 29. It's crazy. I don't even understand myself, but that means that my word's getting out about.
It's funny what I decide to get picky about. The last time I got coffee, it took me about 5 reviews before I landed on my spot. But life insurance, well, most of us took the first quote that we got and called it done. SelectQuote is a life insurance broker that does the homework for you. Their licensed agents shop over 100 policies and find you a better rate for free. With SelectQuote, getting life insurance is fast, free, and easy. The whole process takes about 15 minutes. Answer a few questions, their agents shop the carriers for you, and you get your quote tailored to your specific situation, even if you've got something like high blood pressure or diabetes. And you'll save an average of 30%. So let's do the math on that. If a policy costs 130% off is $45 a month back in your pocket. Over a 20-year term, that's more than $10,000. SelectQuote has been doing this for over 40 years.
respect and the love in the room. And it's love really for the country, for our country. I don't want to say me because you'll say, oh, he's so conceited. He's such a conceited person. But they do. I mean, they like the job I'm doing. They said, sir, we love you. These are grown people saying that. Isn't that nice? Maybe, I don't know, maybe they're trying to get to me. And in a way they did, because there was tremendous unity in that room.
Then Trump says, I would be the greatest communist in history. And he says, Lenin. Lenin. I would be a greater communist than Lenin because I would just tell you, you get a free house and you get a free house and you get a free house. You want to go back to your campaign in 2024 and what you promised people? You told people you were going to cut their electricity by 50%. You told them that they would all get affordable housing. You said everybody would get the best health care imaginable, and the plan was right around the corner. You promised everybody everything, Donald. Lenin. Here, play this clip.
In the country, communism's easy to sell. I would be the greatest communist in history. I'd be right up there with Lenin. I'd be as good as anybody. You've got free rent for the rest of your life. What they don't say is that you'll be living in squalor in 12 months. You've got a free house. Would anybody like to have a free house? We'll take it away from somebody. We'll give it to you. You'll have murders all over the place. Communism's
a reporter says, look, it seems like the war is about to start again. Seems like we're in a major war again. All of a sudden, while you were in NATO with your temper tantrums, that now we're in a catastrophic war. And Donald Trump's like, I don't know. Why would it start again? I'm going to end it very quickly. When they hit, we hit 10 times harder. That's your view? I mean, Donald Trump is acting like the U.S. won this war. It was a catastrophic war we shouldn't have been involved in. Iran won the war. The U.S., Donald Trump begged for the ceasefire after threatening back in April to destroy the entire civilization and blow up all of the bridges. Then we were in this bizarre holding pattern of a fake ceasefire that Donald Trump unilaterally made with himself. Then Donald Trump sent his delegation to Islamabad and then Switzerland. And then Donald Trump breached the agreement to try to achieve through an MOU, through fraud, that which he couldn't in the war. But play this clip.
Media, Tunç Akkoç, Türkiye. Mr. President, it seems that the war with Iran may start again. What do you expect from your European allies?
I don't think it's going to start again. I think it's going to go very quickly. They hit a couple of ships, and so we hit them much harder. When they hit, we hit 10 times harder. You know, we hit much harder than they do. We have a lot better equipment than they do. We may even, somebody asked before, do you think you'll hit them tonight? I said, we might. Yeah, we might. But when they hit, we hit. You know, it's what we use their language. We speak their language. No, I don't think so. I think anything that happens is going to be over very quickly, and we'll only make it safer, including for oil. Oil is going to be very free, very easy, and it's going to happen very fast. We have the Hormuz Strait. The boats have pulled out. I mean, there's a gusher of oil right now. We have a lot of oil, and no, anything that happens is going to happen very fast. We're not looking for long term.
A reporter says oil markets are up today by about 7%, over $80 a barrel. Those are going to be near $100 soon. And Donald Trump's like, yeah, if it goes up for a little bit, it's fine. This is what the American people want. This is what they want us. No one wants this. Nobody wants this. What are you doing? Here, play this clip.
Thank you, Mr. President. Steve Sedgwick from CNBC. The oil markets are up today around about 7% for WTI and Brent as well. The world is taking you at your word, sir, that the MOU is over, that the ceasefire is over. What happens next, sir? Are we on the cusp of a full-scale return to full conflict?
I'll tell you what happens next. We're never going to see Iran have a nuclear weapon, because that's much more important than the numbers you're talking about. The prices of oil are dropping like a rock. Now they'll be up a little bit, and this will end very quickly. We have an oil glut right now because we got all those boats out of the strait, and it's going to drop. And I've predicted everything. And I have been.
Then Donald Trump's like, look, all of Iran's anti-aircraft things are gone. That doesn't mean they're going to get a plane at some point, but all of it's gone. They may hit a plane here or there, but all of their stuff is gone. It's not even true. They're going to shut down the Strait of Hormuz any minute now. Okay. Then they're going to shut down the Bab el Mandab Strait. thereafter. And then oil prices are going to hit $200 a barrel while your strategic reserves are being depleted here. You are bankrupting this country, you idiot. Here, play this clip.
Should have been done 47 years ago. It could have been done any time within 40. This has gone on for, they were the bully of the Middle East. So they're a much different country. Now, in one day, all of their anti-aircraft things are gone. That doesn't mean they're not going to get a plane at some point, but all of it's gone. Everything's gone. Their leaders are gone. They had leaders, they're gone, and they had another set of leaders, they're gone. Now they have another set of leaders, they may be gone. Who knows?
Then Donald Trump says that, this is a reporter says, this war seems to be a strategic dead end for you. No, this was the greatest success ever. This is what we wanted. The American people love this. No, you lost the war. You and Netanyahu shouldn't have been in this war in the first place. You've made generations of Americans look like fools. Not even just currently. Generations. Clip.
The Iran war seems to be a strategic dead end for you. Why are you apparently unable to end the Iran war?
So I think we're doing just the opposite. The Iran war has been a tremendous military success. And, you know, I can only answer the question by saying they're not going to have a nuclear weapon. I was there for one reason, that Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. I call it, we denuclearize Iran, and that's happened. They will never have a nuclear weapon. That stuff is so.
Then Donald Trump's like, but I want everybody to know I've been right about everything. That's what he says in NATO. Like, I won the election 3 times. I've been your president 3 times. I mean, what a sicko thing to be saying on the international stage. I mean, truly, what a humiliation ritual for a once proud United States of America. And if you support this, you are absolutely pathetic. Here, play this clip.
An oil glut right now because we got all those boats out of the Strait. And it's going to drop, and I've predicted everything. I've been right about everything, and I have been for a long time. That's how I got to be president 3 times. That's how I won 3 elections. I did very well in the second one, won it. It was a rigged election, but I've been right. And
then Donald Trump says, and I want to conclude before running off, if the communism has been a disaster for 1,000 years, thousands of years, here, I'll play it.
Us will take it away from somebody, we'll give it to you. You'll have murders all over the place. Communism's a disaster. It's been proven to be for thousands of years under different names, but same thing. It's very important.
There you have it, everybody. Let me know what you think. Let me know in the comments why you think that Donald Trump is not going on Qatari Air Force One right now and why he's on old Air Force One. I'd love to hear your